Now that the GM node is available, I wanted to cover the Heist Moon Battleground as it enters the Grandmaster rotation for the very first time. If you're looking for Lightblade, feel free to check out my guide from last season down in the description below. This Nightfall is ad dense, with encounters that can easily overwhelm you if not handled properly. So today, I'll be showcasing strategies that limit the chaos throughout this Grandmaster and make the boss room a breeze. I'm Above, and if you enjoyed today's video, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Now, let's get into it. Starting with my recommended team comp, we went with two Well of Radiance Warlocks rocking the Cenotaph mask, while the third spot is reserved for any ad clear subclass of your choosing. This can be an Invis Hunter using Gerfalcons, a Banner of War Titan with Syntheseps, or an Arc Warlock using something like the Fallen Sunstar. The Ghost Scan encounter makes Well of Radiance somewhat of a necessity here, and is also incredibly useful in the boss room. The ad clear role is flexible, but my personal recommendation would be Arc due to the surge and the fact that Jolt is incredibly powerful in tight spaces. As for weapon loadouts, we went with Galahorn and paired it with two arc rockets to take advantage of the weekly surge. We also utilized one Arbalist, one Wishender, Unstopped Scout Rifles, and two Trace Rifles to pair with Cenotaph. One key ingredient for this Grandmaster is taking advantage of shoot to loot weapons, whether it's on your Trace Rifles or the Unstoppable Scout Rifles. Simply mark champions with Cenotaph, spam rockets, then use shoot to loot to grab the ammo from a distance. You can then rinse and repeat this process over and over and over again. Machine guns are usually my go-to for Battleground Grandmasters, but I found that rockets were far superior in this specific Nightfall. Key armor mods include heavy ammo scouts and finders on your helmet for even more consistent heavy drops, concussive dampener and two void resists on your chest piece to prevent getting one shot by those nasty Scorn snipers and void grenades, with a scavenger and two surge mods on your boots to match your heavy weapons. Rapid Fire Ranger is also a great pick for this Grandmaster, giving you a free debuff when you're using either Wishender or your scout rifles from range. Diving right into the Nightfall, we're gonna make this opening section a cakewalk by taking advantage of the high ground that overlooks this encounter. This spot puts you out of range from the Seraph Tower and provides decent cover from the adds below you. Your cadence should look something like this. Mark a barrier champ with your Trace Rifles, then spam your rockets, and the Wolfpacks and Galley combined with the Arc Surge absolutely decimate the adds here. There are 6 barrier champions, an unstoppable ogre, and a mini boss that you'll have to deal with, but as long as you get in the habit of tagging champions before killing them, you'll be able to spam your rockets like their primary weapons, then use shoot to loot to pick up the ammo bricks, and do it all over again. Once the initial wave has been cleared, a Death Tongue Chorister will spawn on your close left-hand side. You'll want to make this enemy your first priority, as it disables your abilities if left alive too long, and once dead, you can continue clearing adds below you until the enemy spawns move closer to the bunker. But instead of moving up, you can simply stay on this high ground and use your shoot-to-loot weapons to gather ammo. You can then kill the mini-boss from a distance, at which point the Seraph Tower will deactivate, allowing you to move forward, top off your heavy ammo, and move on to the next encounter. After some relatively basic transition areas, you'll arrive at the hardest part of this Grandmaster. Our task is to defend our ghost as it opens the door to the Warmind while surviving what seems like an endless wave of enemies. While there is a cheese spot that you can use above the rafters in this encounter, I'll never advocate for these methods, as I want to teach you guys sustainable strategies that don't have a risk of being patched. So instead, I like to use this corner area as it keeps you out of sight from most of the enemies, including the snipers and unstoppable champions. Start by deploying your ghost, then group up with your team and start clearing adds. Your warlocks will focus on keeping the wells up as often as possible, while your ad clear teammate focuses on clearing enemies that spawn out of the doors closest to you. And just like in the opening encounter, Wolfpack rockets go crazy here. You not only have a heavy ammo crate directly in front of you, you'll also have 5 unstoppable champions that you can tag for additional heavy drops. These champs will spawn at 25, 50, and 75% capture progress, with a mini-boss joining the final champion spawn just before the end of the encounter. This means we can spam our rockets to clear the room quickly, tag the champs as they appear during the capture milestones, and use our shoot-to-loot weapons to grab it from our hideout. And if any enemies halt your capture progress, simply stay patient and wait for them to walk into your line of sight. This keeps you safe and prevents silly deaths out in the middle of the arena trying to chase these enemies down. When the capture progress reaches 100%, the rest of the enemies will despawn, and we're moving on. As you make your way past the lasers, we'll arrive at the vault. Just like the other two battlegrounds, we'll need to collect 2 cores and use them to break the seals on the door. If you use these wisely, you can open the door with just 2 of them, which takes a lot of pressure off your third teammate who will be responsible for clearing ads down below. And remember, don't be afraid to use your heavy ammo here, as there is a heavy crate that will top you off as we head to the boss fight. This is one of the few times I'll ever say this. This boss fight is incredibly easy as long as you follow the principles I lay out for you here. First, ad spawns are tied directly to the boss's health bar. Ads will spawn each time the boss loses 10% HP, which means we'll have 5 ad spawns before the boss reaches its 50% health gate. So the faster you nuke the boss, the more ad spawns can overlap and potentially send you back to orbit. I recommend taking the slow and steady approach where you damage until you hear the scorn spawn animation, clear the enemy, then go back to doing damage to the boss. The Scorn Stalkers and Raiders are by far your biggest threats here, which is why you should always prioritize them when you hear them spawn. Which leads me to my second point, this boss is kind of a joke. If you use the back right corner of the room, the boss will never push towards you. And as long as you have Void Resists equipped, it can't one-shot you from distance either. This spot breaks line of sight from the snipers and gives you plenty of time to kill ads as they make their way over to you. In fact, this boss is so passive that sometimes it'll actually teleport away from you, making you hunt it down. So as long as you focus the ads as I mentioned earlier, you'll get through this fight no problem. Start by scanning your ghost, then head to the back right and throw down a well. Clear the initial ad wave before damaging the boss, as they're by far the biggest threat to you as I noted earlier. Once clear, damage the boss until you hear the next ad spawn, then rinse and repeat this process until you reach the 50% health gate. And it is at this point that 2 unstoppable champions will spawn on the center platform. These shouldn't aggro towards you, which allows you to focus on ad clear before killing the champs. Simply tag them for ammo, collect it with your shoot to loot weapons, and you're all set for the second half of this fight. It is at this point that we can shift our focus to the Arc Charge Scorn, who will drop charges that we need to deposit on the center platform. We must do this 5 times with ad spawns tied to each dunk. With that said, if you kill 2 Scorn and dunk their orbs simultaneously, you can actually skip an ad spawn each time, which is why I recommend dunking 2 at a time for the first 2 set of dunks, followed by the final dunk to bring down the boss's shield. The second half of the boss fight can go one of 2 ways. You can either set up to bake the boss in the center of the arena if you're comfortable doing so, or have your warlocks positioned to drop a well in the back right corner and take it slow and steady once more. Either way, once you grasp the pattern of how this fight works, it becomes pretty easy to manage, making the Moon Heist Battlegrounds a GG. If you found this guide useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. You can also catch me live over at twitch.tv/above, where I'll be doing GM helps all season long. Anyways, guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.